notice I'm one of those people that push the microphone away instead of bringing it closer. Call the meeting to order. This is the regularly scheduled meeting of the Woodland Park City Council for Thursday, February the 7th, 2013. Cindy, could we take the roll, please?
Certainly. Mayor Turley.
Present.
Gary Brevetto.
Here.
Bob Carlson. Terry Harrison.
Here.
Carol Harvey. Here. John Schaefer.
Here.
Eric Smith.
Here. And if you would rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Geez, pretty good turnout tonight. Good to see everybody. Couple of things before we get into the item 4, the ceremonies, presentations, and appointments. Bob Carlson's not with us tonight. He had a little accident, and he's on crutches, and decided it was best he had supposed to stay off his feet. So Bob's not with us tonight. The agenda, even though we have some couple of pretty good items, you know, it's a fairly light agenda. And I said, Bob, I think you'd be better to stay home and keep your foot up like you've been told by the doctor. So first thing I'd like to mention is I think most of you are aware of the tragic accident that we had in our local community last Friday out in front of Pikes Peak Regional Hospital. 3 of our Woodland Park High School kids, they live in Divide, were on their way to school. An accident out there, and unfortunately Kevin McDonald, the 15-year-old in the vehicle, was killed. It was just more tragedy that occurs in our community. I'll say there was just a wonderful memorial service today at Woodland Park Community Church. The place was packed and overflowing with people. A beautiful service and honoring and remembering Kevin. Sounds like he, I didn't know him, but just a great kid. And it's just so sad to see these things happen in our community. But that being said, we've had a lot happen over the last year relative to death and the fire. And it is things that challenge us and try us. But, we come together stronger as a community. It's important, and I'll just say this to everyone, it's important that those people that you love and are close friends, that you give them that extra hug. Don't take it for granted. Tell them how much they mean to you. And it's just important to do that every day. And I would just say that one of the kids that I know, a lot of kids at the high school were apparently, talking about what's going on in Woodland Park. Why is this happening? And one of the kids that I know, he's a junior, I won't say his name, but posted an item on Facebook just expressing what a great community we have. And even though these are tough times, how it really does bring us together. And I think that's an important thing to remember. So, and then we had another death in the community, and for that I'm going to turn to David Buttery, our city manager.
Thank you, Mayor. You spoke of a young life taken way too soon, and I want to share with you the loss of another community leader that lived a wonderful life. Cal Elder passed away Saturday evening. Cal came to this community in 1947 on his honeymoon, and 30 years later moved here. Cal was instrumental in this community in many ways for doing many things, and I'd like to share a few of those with you. He was on the Planning Commission. He was on the Master Plan Steering Committee, Chamber of Commerce. He was the 1991 Wagon Boss, our Citizen of the Year, if you will. A Beautification Committee. He was part of the original Downtown Development Group in 1984. He was on the Woodland Park Board of Adjustment, RE2 School District Site Committee for siting the middle school, the Ute Pass Historical Society. Can you imagine the stories he had to tell? Historic Preservation Committee, Northeast Teller County Fire Protection District, one of the original district chairs for that board. Very active in Church of the Wildwood for 32 years. Lions Club for 32 years. He was a Teller County Commissioner from 1992 to 1996. He was the second winner of the coveted Les Malott Award for Civic Achievement. Cal is survived by his 4 children and his wife of 65 years, Donna. A few years ago, Cal had to move from Woodland Park to Manitou Springs. His health just couldn't handle the altitude anymore. And as he was leaving, I don't remember the function, but he said, you know, every day I would come home to my little house on Henrietta. And I know where that house is, the little house with the Manitou pink stone on it. And that was his home. And he built that home, and he raised his kids, and he contributed so much to this community. And in his obituary were some very nice words. But also, one other thing, Cal is credited with creating the city's motto, City Above the Clouds. I suspect from his view on Henrietta, he experienced that phenomenon many times where the clouds hang down in the pass. And so in his mind, we became the city above the clouds, and we still are to this day. Cal Elder was a gentleman, a gentle man, a man of great courage, patience, and compassion. And this community is significantly better because of Cal Elder. His services will be not this Saturday, but Saturday, the February 16th at 1 o'clock at Trinity United Methodist Church in Colorado Springs. And there will be city representation there, I promise you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, David. And yep, there's so many people in our community that contribute so much to the goodness that we have, and it's really truly appreciated. And Cal was one of those folks. This time, I'd like to move on to our agenda, and first we have a presentation by Scott Lord of the Woodland Park Friends of Forest Edge Neighborhood Firewise program. And Scott, if you'd just go ahead and give us your name, state your name for the record, address, and welcome.
Yes, sir. Thank you. My name is R. Scott Lord. I live at 1169 Forest Edge Road, Woodland Park, Colorado, 80863. So, Mr. Mayor, Council, City staff, it's a real pleasure to be here before you to talk about a project that I'm very passionate about, Woodland Park Friends of Forest Edge. So in fire, there are no guarantees, but if we work together, we can change the odds. Woodland Park Friends of Forest Edge, we started right after the Waldo Canyon fire when there was a couple opportunities to apply for grants to do some neighborhood mitigation. So we're a neighborhood firewise organization, grassroots. We're working together to build a safer community through firewise planning, education, and mitigation. And we're located up in Country Ridge Estates, Forest Edge Estates, and Forest Edge Park. Just for a reference, this is the location. It's a little bit difficult to see, but we've got on the western boundary of this is going to be Rampart Range Road. Up on the top will be the middle school, and below is the high school. So we're a nonprofit corporation. One of the things I found out to apply for these grants is you've got to have an organization, and then you have to be registered, and then you have to have a DMB number. So we've been through all of this process, and I've been leading this effort. And a little bit of my background is I'm a retired firefighter, and so I've got some exposure in this and a little bit of knowledge. So how do you undertake a big project like this? How do you take on Firewise? And if we think about this from the national perspective, they've written some documents. Specifically, the National Fire Plan was written in 2001. And what they did with the fire plan was establish some principles upon which to fight fire and to look at this. And one of the principles is to assign the highest priority for hazardous fuels reductions to communities at risk and readily accessible municipal watersheds. So we meet that bill. Recently, kind of an evolution of this fire plan is the cohesive fire management strategy, and in that they start talking about building partnerships and enhancing opportunities for organizations to collaborate. So this is all about a collaborative effort. As we all know, fire knows no boundaries, it knows no jurisdiction. And so really the best way to attack this is through collaborative effort. And then lastly, as we go down kind of the funnel from a national level to a local level, we create community wildfire protection plans. In our own wildfire protection plan, the Woodland Park Healthy Forested Initiative, it says it's important encouraging the actions to be taken by private landowners in creating defensible space. This is the key. So in the National Cohesive Fire Strategy, they talk about a top-down and a bottom-up approach. And so big organizations can organize this from the top down, and what we need is the bottom up. And that's what I'm here to do, and that's what we're doing in our neighborhood. So we're really lucky to be where we are, because a lot of the actions that we need to take now, we have to have some infrastructure in place, if you would, and some documentation. So there's some great work that's been done with community wildfire protection plans. We have the Teller County plan and, again, the Woodland Park Healthy Forest Initiative. And I don't know the history of those, but I know that they were started after Hayman. And so with the work that they have done really sets the stage for us to make a difference now. This is really important from the federal perspective, because the feds won't even look at us or talk to us unless we have a CWPP. So this is a real gold star for us. The other thing that's important is a NEPA, an environmental evaluation, if you would. And we're lucky in that perspective in that we're covered by that as well. So if you look at the map, this is going to be the border. This is National Forest. And so we're covered by the Trout West NEPA and then the Catamount NEPA. This is again our project areas, Rampart Range Road, and the middle school and the high school is down here. So we have everything that we need in place to get started. Now, with a community wildfire protection plan, the first thing that you want to do is go out and assess your hazards, do a risk assessment. And when they perform that, Country Ridge Estates, Forest Edge Estates, Forest Edge Park were all rated as severe. So what does that look like? Closed conifer canopies with slopes. So fire behavior is all the convergence of fuels, weather, and topography. God brings our weather. Topography, we buy that. This is where we love to be and where we want to be at home. So we buy our topography. So really the only component that we can affect, the only thing that we can change is fuels. And that's fuel loading, fuel density, continuity of fuels, etc. As well, we were rated as catastrophic fire hazard. So extreme fuels, again, combined with steep slopes, and high priority for mitigation is essential for safety. So if you look at the map, this is the map from the CWPP, and you can see on the right boundary in the dark red for severe, that's exactly where I live and where we live, and that's our project area. Country Ridge Estates, Forest Edge Estates, and Forest Edge Park. You can also, it's interesting to look at the rest of the city. So there's some dense areas, there's some dense fuel loading within the town, but the topography is pretty flat, and so you don't get the extreme or the severe identification as when you start getting connected or aligned with slope. So what are we after? What do we want to do? So we're all about trying to create area-wide protection. Again, fire knows no boundary, knows no jurisdiction. So what I'm going after is stakeholder collaboration. How do we bring all of the stakeholders together, and together working, we can change the odds. We can make a difference. So my job where I'm working is to motivate and get the neighbors ignited to really start the work at the individual levels. That's the key piece and the key component. We're also partnering with CUSP. We're partnering with NETCO, City of Woodland Park, Colorado State Forest Service, NRCS, the National Resource Conservation Service, and the Pike National Forest, the Pike Ranger District. So what are we doing? So from the bottom up, the neighborhood, what we're doing is we've got a neighborhood kickoff meeting to really start our 2013 season. February 19th at 18:30, we're at the Mountain View United Methodist Church. That's going to be at 6:30. That's really to get the neighbors involved and to get everything going and kicked off. That's a follow-up to a mitigation chipper day that we had last fall. With that, then we're going to have 3 mitigation work days planned, and we've got a chipper day in April. And that's just to get the work going and started at the bottom up. So the bottom line is really all about defensible space. And that's what we're working to. We're doing that in a positive way. It's not clear cutting. It's how do we create healthy forests? How do we have species diversity? How do we have multi-generational trees so that we can make a difference? So collaboration's a big part of our plan. So what we've already done to date, we're working with Dan Olson out at NRCS. He's been a great resource. He's going to be coming and talking about healthy forest and how you do this, how we can build healthy forest and be firewise at the same time. Started working with CUSP. CUSP has been a great supporter. They supported us on our chipper day last fall. They're going to be supporting us this year. And they've matched some grants, some grant funding that we've already won. We're partnering with the Colorado State Forest Service, and through the work that we've already started, they have awarded us a $10,000 grant in which to continue our effort to give us some more momentum. Dave Root's been out and marking property. He's been on some city lots, and he's been a great supporter. This is the one I'm really, really proud of, the City of Woodland Park. You guys, Bill and the Public Works Department have done an awesome job and have been out front working with us, and this is pretty exciting. Dave Root, the state forester, we partnered, and within the neighborhood there's city tracks, and we've partnered with Public Works and the state forest. So state forest has been marking trees, and Public Works is mitigating the property, and that started this Monday. So thank you, Bill. It's awesome work. The guys out there are doing a great job. Also, we're partnering with Netco, so Tyler Lambert. Tyler is going to send crews out on our 3 work days. So February 23rd, March 16th, and March 30th, we're going to have some of the local fire crews out to help do some training, to help with some people that may need some assistance, so we can start making a difference. That's awesome. We really appreciate Tyler's support. This is huge. I had a meeting with Alan Hahn. He's the district ranger for the Pike National Forest. I wasn't too sure how this was going to go, but Alan wanted to count us in as a partner. He wants to be counted in as a partner on this effort. Again, because we've got our CWPP and our NEPA. He's got everything in place. So he committed as a partner, and he is now working with his staff to figure out how they can help and what kind of work they can do. That's pretty exciting because they're a really big component in this puzzle. This is the good stuff, boots on the ground. This is Bill's Public Works guys out there. Who do we have? Jeff and Chris and Bruce and Amanda was out there the other day. So this is really fun to see those guys out there, and I think they were having a good time and they were doing a great job. So what we need from you guys, we're looking to continue to influence the NGOs, local, state, and feds to recommit and really be on board with the CPP. Looking to outreach to other subdivisions. I've already had some neighbors reach out from other parts of the city who are interested in doing similar stuff. Maybe they can partner with us and see what's going on and give them some ideas and help get their neighborhood going. If you're interested, we'd like to invite you to our community meeting on the 19th, again at the Methodist Church. And if you really want to get into it, get your work jeans on and come out and to one of our work days. We'd love to have you out there. And I just want to give a great big thanks to the city staff. So Dave, been huge support. Thank you. Cindy, thank you so much. Sally, I call Sally. Sally, I need a map. So she prints me a map up, and Bill with Public Works and all your crew. I really appreciate that. And so we are we're underway, and again, working together, we can change the odds.
Thanks, Scott. I think it's great you're doing this. I think it becomes more and more important every day, especially when you start. I mean, it's going to take a while for this to happen, and hopefully everything will, Mother Nature will cooperate with things. It's so extremely dry out there, and this is what we all need to be doing. And you're right about those areas, and really glad that with your leadership taking this on. I would just add that I just met Scott for the first time this evening, but during the Waldo Canyon fire, I had a couple of Scott's emails with some maps drawn and showing fire locations and where they live and concerns and all of that. So I kind of got some insights into Scott's knowledge back during the Waldo Canyon fire. So I appreciate all that you're doing. Council, any questions, comments for Scott?
I had a question, Scott, about the area that you're working in. Is that all private property, or does that include U.S. forest lands as well?
It's mixed. So we're taking an area-wide protection approach. So this is all national forest here. So we're partnered with Pike Radio District to do work on this area. This is city property, so this is going to be private property. And then these blue track, this is city. And currently, this is where the city crews, the public works crews are working right now on this. It's kind of a cornerstone piece into the neighborhood. And so, city, private, and federal.
Thanks, that clears it up.
John, did you have?
Yes. Are you now a 501c3 entity?
We have completed our paperwork. It's under review, and it should be submitted this week.
All right.
Okay. Thank you very much, Scott.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. I think that's it's well worthwhile to have someone like you come and do this kind of a presentation, and hopefully the folks that are watching or will see it on the archives or something will see the kinds of things that are being done and what can be done.
And I might mention that the information that you shared tonight on the meetings is on our website.
Very good.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Scott. And now we'll next move on to our next presentation, one that we're always glad to receive, and that's an update on the activities at the Cripple Creek and Victor Gold Mining Company and things that went on in last year. And, just I'll save comments for later, but I'll see what Jane has to say. But welcome, Jane Mannon, and you probably have a couple of introductions to do, too.
We do. Jane Mannon, Manager of Community Affairs at Cripple Creek and Victor Gold Mining Company. And I also have with me Ray Du Bois, our General Manager, and his lovely wife, Beth, is here tonight.
Welcome.
So, again, just here to do our annual update, make sure everybody knows that what we're doing and we're still around. Copies for the council and staff, and there's also some extra copies in the back if anybody wants copies of the information. We want to make sure everybody hears the good news. Okay. We ended the year this year with 504 employees, and we're continuing to do some hiring and bringing some contractors onto the site, so we're very busy. 85 employees use a Woodland Park zip code, and for those folks in Woodland Park, that's about a $5 million payroll, and then with benefits on top of that, it's about $6.6 million. I have on here our average salary and benefits is $74,000. I've been going back and forth with the HR group, and we think that that's probably actually closer to 80 once you figure in the benefits and that compensation, with an average hourly wage of about $25 an hour. And each CC&V job directly supports an additional 4.6 jobs in Colorado. For 2012, our production was 247,000 ounces of gold and 101,000 ounces of silver, and 64 million tons of material moved. That's ore and overburden material moved. Lots of material. For our taxes paid in 2012, 3.6 million to Teller County, 8.1 to the state of Colorado. And what I like to point out is the severance tax of 2.1 or almost 2.2, and those dollars, of course, are distributed locally. The city will get a direct distribution based on the number of residents that we show in the community. But then also the Energy Mineral Impact Assistant grant fund that comes through the Department of Local Affairs, that money is back. In fact, they're working right now on their first grant round with that money, and so hopefully we'll be able to bring some of those dollars back into the community through that grant program. So we're pretty excited to see that come back. In 2012, we worked on recertification of our environmental management system as well as our safety and health management system. Those are 3-year certifications, and those involve pretty rigorous audits of our paperwork, our staff. They go out into the mine operation and talk to our folks, and just to verify that everybody knows and understands that those policies and procedures and the way that we do business is in place. And we came through again with flying colors, very happy about that. We were recognized in the pollution prevention program again, and we are receiving an Excellence in Reclamation Award for what we call the Altman backfill. This is an area that we mined and then filled back in with overburden. It's, if you've been up to the American Eagles on the new road, it's kind of that area off to the north of that American Eagles road. We hydroseeded it and then put some trees and some rocks and stumps for wildlife habitat. But with the little tiny amount of moisture we've had, we're having success with getting things to grow. So we're pretty excited about that project. In just some of the highlights of some of the stuff we've been working on in the Woodland Park area is some contributions to the high school and middle schools. We always work with the After Prom event. We support the Cruise Above the Clouds, one of Ray's favorite events, and the music series, Habitat for Humanity. A couple of the things that we've done, the Catamount Institute, support of the Catamount Institute, as well as the Challenger Learning Center. Those are both great resources for the schools to get learning opportunities that they may not be able to provide directly through the school. Catamount, of course, is doing a lot of outdoor education programs and environmental programs. The Challenger Learning Center does the simulated space missions, and now they've got this really cool globe thing that they do. It's like a planetarium, in the middle of the room. Very cool. So we've been getting those out to the Woodland Park School as well as to the Cripple Creek School. The picture over here on the side is one of our reclamation projects that you can see in between Cripple Creek and Victor on Highway 67. And we're experimenting with these. They're called water boxes. And they've got a little seedling tree in here. We've got the Yes Club from the Catamount Institute through the Cripple Creek School District went out and helped us plant trees, and they create their own microclimate to help concentrate water. So we're experimenting with that. The kids are really helping us with monitoring those trees. At the same time, we planted some other seedling trees without the water boxes, and so they'll learn to do some of that evaluation as well. So really a cool project through the Catamount Institute. We've been very busy on our historic resources. This is the Hoosier head frame, which is up on the north end of the property, kind of north and east of the Molly Kathleen. We moved this head frame back off of the shaft, the collar of the shaft where the original mine was, because it was starting to fail, and then we're able to do some stabilization. You can see some of the new wood that's in here to get that building stabilized. This structure right here is an ore sorting house that we moved to this location. This area will be a new trailhead for the Gold Camp Trail. So those structures are there. That was very successful. We also moved an old ore sorting house. This is the Morning Glory ore house in its original location, and now it's down off of the Shelf Road, which is on the Gold Belt Byway, so folks can see it down there. We're going to get some signs in for that this year. And the Golden Wedge, which is an interesting project, and I never, ever would have believed they'd be able to do this. You can see the whole top of this head frame was broken off. They took that thing down and didn't end up with a pile of toothpicks, and they were able to rebuild a portion of that structure, and that now sits above Highway 67 in between Cripple Creek and Victor, so people can see it as they're traveling in between the two towns. It's a great spot. The Rittenhouse head frame we were able to literally pull out of a hole and re-erect in the city of Victor. So this is down off of 4th Street and has been very popular, kind of a community park in an area where there were historically mines right there inside, in the middle of town. We continue with our summer tours. We do those every day of the week except Thursday, from Memorial Day to Labor Day. I failed to put on here the phone numbers on there, but also victorcolorado.com is the website, and if you want to do the tours, make a reservation. Those go through the Victor Lowell Thomas Museum, and they've been very, very popular, and they're really a lot of fun. So, you know, family and friends are in town, bring them to the mine. We have our visitor center in Cripple Creek that we've opened this year. It's on the lower level of the Cripple Creek Elks. And we've started doing what we call mine shots, which are twice a month. We have presentations about different aspects of history, mining, modern mining. This is Mel McFarland. I'm sure many of you recognize him. Mel actually gives a much more dynamic presentation than he might appear in this picture, but this was the only picture that I've gotten of the presentations. But Mel's done a couple on the railroads. We have one coming up on Saturday regarding the history of the Cripple Creek and Victor Gold Mining Company. We've done, you know, things about our lab process, all that. So if anybody wants to know about those presentations, get me your email address and we'll send you the notices. There's also ads in the paper if you notice those too. Okay, and now we're busy working on implementation of Amendment 10 that was approved in September. And right now the most visible thing is the highway work on the work near Highway 67 in what's called Squaw Gulch. Kind of that big horseshoe bend in between Cripple Creek and Victor, where the crib wall is. We've gone in there, they're working on some highway improvements so we can haul material across the highway. We're also doing tree removal and topsoil stockpiling right now. Later this month, we'll start doing some blasting. That's where the new Valley Leach facility will be. And so we will have some little bit more extended stoppages on the highway through there, but, you know, on the order of 10 to 15 minutes, just so people are aware of that. We are constructing a new process for CC&V, not necessarily a new process for the mining district, but a high-grade mill. And this is the platform. It sits at the top of Squaw Gulch, and this is a picture just kind of looking down the valley towards the Sangre de Cristos. The North Crescent area, this is, when you look at this, right here is where the Pikes Peak, or the Cripple Creek Heritage Center is. Highway 67 coming into Cripple Creek. And what you see here, this is our historic buffer area. We have an agreement to help minimize impact on that area. But inside the black and red boundaries, these purple lines are mining topography. So we are going to start tree removal and topsoil removal in this area this summer. That's an area, and we point this out because it will be visible from Cripple Creek. Just want to make sure people know and understand that. And then mining will start there in 2014. We're working on a platform right now at the Heritage Center, and to get a platform, some information about what people are going to be seeing, and hopefully some spotting scopes. So all of you mining geeks or mining geeks to be can go and watch the big trucks and the operations from there. We think it's going to be pretty cool. So anytime, contact me. If you have any questions, certainly let me know. If people ask you things that you can't answer, certainly direct them my way. Thanks.
Thanks, Jane. Great update. Always good to hear from you, and to just remind us of all the contributions that the mine is making to our local community, both through employment and also the many donations and grants and things that the mine provides. It really helps a lot of organizations. Comments from council? Terry?
It's really good to see you.
It's good to see you too.
It
Once
really
a year, yeah.
And Jane, one thing that you didn't touch on and that I'm pretty proud of, because I'm one of those 4.6 in the state of Colorado. I'm privileged enough to do some work for the mine, is the incredible safety record that the mine has with all of its employees, not only those ones, but even with the construction jobs going up there and the tight leash that I shouldn't say tight leash, that's the wrong word, but the requirements that the mine's held under, that holds us all under. I don't know if you know what the numbers are now. I remember sometime in the middle of the summer we had like 460 days without a lost day of work from anybody, which is a pretty incredible record. I can't tell you for sure what that was.
Off the top of my head, I know that the process area just celebrated the millwrights had over 2 years without any sort of safety, even a dressing case or that kind of thing, and the electricians was a year. And it's a testament to the good folks that we have. Our goal is to send everybody home happy and healthy every day at the end of the workday. And these guys really work hard on that, and they really take it seriously, and they watch out for each other, and that's huge. That's really it's a testament to them and the work that they do.
And to the mine. Thank you.
Yes, John.
Mine's well known for supporting great causes here in Colorado and Teller County. Can you put a dollar value on the donations and sponsorships for last year?
Oh, wow. And I just finished my year-end report a couple weeks ago, and I want to say that last year, and there's several components to this as well, but we also do, in addition to our direct contributions, we do matching funds. So if our employees make contributions, they can get those contributions matched under certain parameters. And I want to say that last year it was like $375,000. Does that? No, Ray's not. He doesn't remember those numbers. He's remembering not much bigger numbers, but
Good answer,
close to,
Ray. It
yeah,
sounds
that's
low.
it. Yeah. I'm gonna say close to 400,000, but I can't recall.
Significant.
Yeah, but I'll get that to you. We'll get it posted on our website too.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else? David, do you anything from you? No. Okay. Thank you very much, Jane. We
Thank
really
you.
appreciate the update. I'll say for council, if you haven't been down there, there's the regular tours. It's great to bring people to, and if you talk nice to Jane, I don't know if she'll still do that. I remember a couple of years ago, and in fact, I'll just tell you that Jane gave me a great tour. Of course, I was trying to hit her up for some money for another cause. You didn't hear that, Ray. But the areas that you showed me, I was down a few months ago and up at American Eagle and looking at all that, and it's amazing the things that are going on and how much that has changed.
It is.
In that time.
It is. It's amazing.
If you're interested in those kinds, it is an engineering marvel.
It is. It really is. It's very neat. Well, I'm working on a tour. Brian and I are going to get together, so anybody's welcome to join us, and we'll get you up there and get you in a hard hat and get dirty.
Thanks, Jane.
Thank you.
Appreciate it greatly. Well, moving on to item 4C, we have a presentation by Elizabeth Connell of the Woodland Park Panther Recycling Program. And recycling is always something that seems to be a challenge in our area, and we look forward to, I know a little bit about what you're going to say, but welcome and look forward to everybody hearing about it.
All right. My name's Elizabeth Connell, and I am representing Woodland Park School District tonight. And I don't have a PowerPoint or a lovely visual for you tonight, just information. We're starting this as a new program this year. We just had our first major event on January 19th, but first let me tell you about what the program is. We're starting a electronics waste recycling depot for high school special education and transition students, helping them to overcome some barriers before they leave the school, helping to prepare them for employment and help them develop some job skills. And we've partnered with Blue Star Recyclers to make this come to fruition. I should say I brought with me tonight Adric Arndt. He's the special education coordinator at the high school, and he's very much a go-to person for me, and I'm supported by him and Jed Bowman, the superintendent. We don't have a lot of places in Woodland Park or in Teller County for our special education or transition students to learn the skills that they need. Right now, if we have a way of sending them to a program, it's somewhere in El Paso County. We're sending money out of our county, out of our district, to pay for other places to help them learn these skills. We found a way that we could do that right up here and help the community. For several years now, the SOS Club in Woodland Park High School has been having an annual event where they have been collecting electronics waste. And this past year, we helped them with their major event in April where they collected, I believe, over 12,000 pounds of electronics waste. What that means is it's not going into our landfills, and we're not polluting our soil and our water with potential toxics like cadmium, lead, and mercury. What we're doing is keeping it out of the landfills, and we are demanufacturing in the depot and teaching these wonderful kids that we work with the skills to do that. This is a new program, as I said. We don't have a real funding stream yet. We've gotten some support from Walmart and from the Education Foundation within the school district, and we're hoping to get more sponsorship from the mine. But my promise to the school district is that this would be at no cost to the school. The school doesn't have money for a new program. So what I've promised to do is to go out and seek funds and seek interest in this program. And just from the turnout in the annual events for the recycling, it's been wonderful. People always thank us. They're very excited. They want to do good up here in Woodland Park. The citizens, well, in Teller County, they want to do things for their county to keep it beautiful. We, as I said, just had a kickoff event on January 19th, and on that day we collected over 5,000 pounds of electronics waste. 1,000 pounds of that went straight into our depot where we're going to demanufacture it with the students. They have been trained how to take apart computer towers, printers, those types of things, and recover circuit boards and valuable minerals and things like copper, aluminum, and we will take that to market and help to sustain our program through those funds. We are forming partnerships all the time, even though we're just getting started. We are working with CUSP, and within CUSP is a person who works with Ute Pass BOCES, which is Manitou School District, Woodland Park School District, and Cripple Creek School District. And it's in the forefront of our minds to combine this project with those schools and to involve them in this, and to also make this available to their students and have collaborative efforts for this event each year. What we have asked for assistance with is, from Woodland Park, is to provide us with stipend funds. At our annual events, what we're mainly getting on those days are equipment for us to demanufacture. We're not really making a lot of money. The collection events allows us to collect a lot of material at one time to keep us running, to keep the kids busy, and we offer a discount to the community to come out at our events. So we're really not making money. What we're trying to do is offer it at a low cost to encourage people to come on out and donate their items at a reduced price. Another thing that we're doing in appreciation for Woodland Park School District helping us and providing a space in Woodland Park Middle School for the depot, we're also collecting and demanufacturing their items, their waste. Okay, that's really important. All businesses and state government agencies are required to recycle their e-waste, and now we're providing a means for the school district to be able to do that through us. And we hope to provide a stipend to them as well. For instance, I want to say this last collection event, after the event, we had some things come through. Large flat screen TVs, and those weighed 145 pounds. We charged 30 cents a pound at the depot on a regular basis, which would have net us $45, somewhere around there. At the event, we only collected $20. So, you know, we're eating a lot at that time, but we're also hoping to get rid of a lot of the e-waste ethically so that it's not laying out there in the landfills, and providing a service with education from the SOS Club and helping the students of Woodland Park School District in special education.
Can you tell us for the community when and where they can bring items and drop them off?
I did bring some information, and I will pass that along. It is only going to be held during school days. Whoops. Sorry, Jane. I just brought up your presentation. Here. You just want to pass those along. The recycling depot is at the Woodland Park Middle School, even though it's a high school program. We were allotted space there, and it's unfortunate because the industrial technology program no longer is funded there. So we landed a terrific space through Woodland Park High School to have this depot, and it's perfect. It's bare bones, it's cement floor, it's everything we need for demanufacturing. Where there might be accidents with glass and things that we need to clean up, it's perfect. It's going to be Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday the rest of this school year from 8 to 10 in the morning. We'll accept things. On this flyer is also the phone number, which I just learned because it's really that new. There's also a web page on Woodland Park School District site that you can go to get more information about us.
Very good. I think that's great. I know there was in the past, I call it, you know, like once a year events or something like that at the high school, and that was very good. So this is a good opportunity, and will help get the word out. I know the SOS Club and folks have come in the past and spoken with my Rotary Club and other service organizations, and you know, we'll just help get the word out as best we can.
Okay, well, and I want to tell you that our next event is already scheduled, and it is for April 13th. It's going to be from 10 to 2. And we also have just booked something with Debbie Upton, Build a Generation. July 20th, we're going to have the volunteers from the Teen Center to help us, because when school is not in session, we do not have the operation going. So we want to have a few times during the summer months where people can still drop things off and not forget about us.
Okay.
All right?
Any questions, comments from council?
Well, of course, I think it's a wonderful program, but again, could you explain if you take your items to the depot on a regular school day, what is the charge for someone leaving their materials there?
Okay. If you leave a computer tower or a laptop, that is free. And small appliances, printers, audiovisual equipment, automotive equipment, 30 cents a pound. We're doing it by weight.
And when you do an event, are you discounting that?
Yes. It's a steep discount. Probably over half.
Wow.
Yeah. But we get a lot more that way.
Yeah.
And if people want to hold on to it, we're fine with that if they want to wait till an event. But we'd like to have things coming in on a regular basis.
Thanks, Elizabeth.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
Good program.
Thank you.
Okay. And we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, item 5, additions, deletions, or corrections to agenda. Cindy, I believe we have none, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and we'll move on to the consent calendar, and for that, I'll turn to Cindy also.
Thank you. This evening, there are 2 items. One is the approval of the January 17th regular city council meetings, and the other is to approve the application for renewal of the hotel restaurant liquor license located at the Country Lodge from their corporate structure, Spacious Skies Management.
Any questions for Cindy? Then I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second?
Having a motion and a second, any further discussion? Then we'll take a vote.
Brevetto,
Yeah, is that for A, by the way?
it's for A and B.
Yes.
A and B, okay, okay.
Yep.
Yay.
All right. Harrison,
Yes.
Harvey,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Schaefer,
Yes.
Hurley.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously.
Thanks, Cindy. We have no unfinished business. We'll move on to item 8, ordinances on initial posting. For item 8A, ordinance number 1182, authorizing the city to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with Teller County and some additional information. And for that, we're going to turn to,
When you're done.
Oh.
Yeah, since I have property that's next to this, I'm gonna recuse myself from 8A and the same thing for 10B when that comes up, so,
okay,
okay?
we'll come and get you.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, Eric. Thanks for letting me know. So I'll turn to Sally Riley, our Director of Planning.
Thank you, Mayor Turley. Council members, I just want to briefly introduce this ordinance 1182, as this is on initial posting. This is, the purpose of this ordinance is to initiate the process to assume the ownership of Fountain Creek Channel from Teller County. The property is located just south of Sheridan Avenue and north of the Woodland Plaza Shopping Center. This ordinance has attached to it a intergovernmental agreement with Teller County, basically establishing the expectations for obtaining the property, and then there is a quick claim deed in order to transfer that area of Rosemont right-of-way, the Fountain Creek Sand Wash area that was all platted in 1948. So this is, we would recommend you approve this on initial posting and set the public hearing for March 7th. And the reason we're asking for the March 7th public hearing is twofold. First, the county commissioners will be taking action on this next week, and we wanted to make sure that they were comfortable with this action. And also, Bill Alsbach will not be here on the 21st, so we have scheduled the public hearing for Bill to be able to be here if you have any technical questions about the improvements that will be going into the Fountain Creek Channel. Questions?
Any questions for this initial posting, but any questions for Sally this evening? And this has primarily to do with the drainage issues on Fountain Creek and the work that's going to be done.
Yes.
Kind of.
Yes, this is the property that the Fountain Creek project that we received a grant from FEMA for the pre-disaster mitigation grant work will be contained in. After this transfer of property, then the city will own that parcel of property rather than the county.
Okay. Any other questions, anything? Then we'll entertain a motion for this ordinance.
Make a motion to approve ordinance 1182.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, then we'll take a vote.
Thank you. Harrison,
Yes.
Harvey,
Yes.
Schaefer,
Yes.
Turley,
Yes.
Bravetto.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously.
And he said he wanted to be excused for the next item, too.
Just several down the list.
Oh, okay. Is that? Okay. And we'll move on to public hearings. Man, I'm glad on these iPads that you can make this stuff big, because we're doing item 9A, Eric.
Okay.
And this is approve the application for the Ute Pass Brewing Company, LLC, to grant a tavern liquor license located at 209 East Midland Avenue, Woodland Park. And for that, we'll turn to Cindy.
Thank you. It is my pleasure this evening to introduce you to the owners of the new Ute Pass Brewing Company. Scott Jones and Todd Doremus are here this evening. Have them come to the podium as soon as I'm finished with the staff report. The location is the former Maximilian's building, and the gentlemen this evening are here to request permission for approval of a new tavern liquor license. They can talk to you about some of their future plans when they come up. Specifically, the application details are in the staff report that was in your packet and is available for the audience that's here this evening. The application was submitted right after the first of the year. We posted the property with a big public notice sign on January 24th. Also provided notice in the official city newspaper. All the fees have been paid. This application was submitted with concurrent review, which means that as soon as it hit our desk, it also went to the state of Colorado, so that speeds the process up for the applicants. And then the last thing to note is, I think most of you are familiar, if there is a new request for a license as opposed to a transfer of ownership, we ask the applicants to prove, and this is a legal term, the needs and desires of the neighborhood. But basically what they're doing is gaining support for you to show that there is community support for the granting of this license. They did do that, and they submitted a petition containing 30 signatures of residents and business owners, all within the city limits, in support of the granting of this license. So, following public hearing, it's the staff's recommendation that the City Council approve this application from the Ute Pass Brewing Company for a tavern liquor license. A reminder about a tavern liquor license, to use an example of another tavern liquor license is the Ute Inn, the historic Ute Inn. So that's a combination of alcohol and then light snacks and sandwiches, not necessarily full service meals. So it would be my pleasure to introduce again Scott and Todd, invite them to come forward and address you and answer any questions you may have.
Okay. Welcome. Just for the record, please state your name and your address.
My name is Scott Jones. I live at 450 Timber Lane, Woodland Park.
Todd Doremus, 809 Rolling Park Drive.
Anything that you guys would like to add to what Cindy has told us?
No, other than to thank the city staff for all their help and support during this process. We're very excited about the opportunity to take part in this business adventure here in Woodland Park, and are really looking forward to it.
Council, have any questions? Yes.
Is this similar to like the Beer Works? Is kind of an operation similar to that, or?
We, the Ute Pass Brewing Company, our eventual goal is to become a brew pub. Right now we're applying for a tavern liquor license to open up as a tavern. A few months down the road, we hope to be back here to apply for a brew pub license. But we're not ready for that. We have a lot of work to do in terms of working with the county on some changes we need to make to the building and some other steps with the TTB and those types of things.
Is there a local brew company that you're associated with?
I'm sorry?
Is there a local brew company that you're associated with that you're going to be serving there?
No, we'll be serving guest beers initially under this tavern license, and then eventually, when we are ready to get brewery operations up and running and we have our brew pub license, we'll be serving guest beers but also manufacturing our own beer as well.
Yes, Terry.
Well, congratulations, guys. I'll tell you, I've watched that building since it was Jerry's junk, and I think since then there's been 5 other establishments or more or less in it. You know, Scott, I'm not real sure about how stable you are, Scott, because that guy that you're standing beside I know quite well. How much, because I do know a little bit about the building, how much of the building do you plan on utilizing to start with? And then where would you place the brewing operation itself?
Okay. Well, first of all, we are doing a lot of cosmetic remodeling to the building. You're right. It's been a number of different things, and it's you can tell. I'll put it that way. You can follow.
No, I know.
You can follow along with the cosmetic changes we're making to the building at www.upassbrewingcompany.com. We have a lot of pictures on there and all the remodeling that we're doing. We're going to be using the entire first floor at this point. So the main dining area will be there, the bar area. When you walk in the door on the right-hand side, there used to be a seating area. Eventually, that will be brewery operations, so there will be a wall there kind of separating off that area. There will be some glass in that wall so that you can see the tanks, see the brewing equipment, and there'll be a cold room area there storing our tanks that'll store the beer as well. We have a smaller equipment than Beerworks has, so it's not a large area. I'm sure you're aware of that, but we've worked with our architect and our engineer to make sure that we can get all the equipment that we need to get into that area, that's off to the right-hand side when you walk in the door.
So it's going to be a relatively small brewing process.
Yeah.
I mean,
right. We have a 7-barrel brewing system. To compare that, Beerworks, I believe, has a 10-barrel brewing system, so it's a little bit smaller than theirs.
And I just want to remind everybody that what we're approving tonight's the tavern license, and what you're asking about is future things that they're looking to do and come to apply for.
but I won't be here when they come back.
Well, I mean, I think you know what they're doing. I just want to make sure that for the public and what we're going through, what we're addressing tonight and approving what they've applied for.
You bet. Scott, Todd, I wish you the best. I really do, and I can't think of a better thing to put in that building.
Thank you very much.
Don't let nothing happen to it, because the setback is so close. We can't build another one there, so really protect that building. I've been around it for a long time, so the best of luck to both of you.
Thank you.
Under your tavern license, will it be a full-up menu, lunch, dinner?
We there is a kitchen already in that restaurant area. We're going to start off with a light menu with some hot sandwiches, paninis, maybe some hot subs and appetizers, and that's our initial plan, to start off with that menu. We'll be doing initially during the week. It'll just be evening hours, and then on the weekends we will plan on opening around 11 o'clock and doing some lunch as well on the weekends. During summertime, that could certainly expand, but initially not.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Very good. Anything else? Then, in that case, I'll, if you guys will just hang there, I'll open the floor for public comment. Any comments from anyone that's here tonight? Hearing none, then I'll close the floor for public comment. Any final questions from council? Any comments? Then I will entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the application to Pass Brewing Company.
Okay.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll take a vote.
Thank you. Harvey?
Yes.
Schaefer?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Turley?
Yes.
Rivetto?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously.
Congratulations, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Look forward to it.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Very good. Thanks for coming. And this is doing this. There we go. I have to hold it down. Item 9B is approve ordinance 1181, imposing a temporary moratorium on the establishment of marijuana clubs and on the submission, acceptance, processing, and approval of any application for a City of Woodland Park permit or license related to the operation of a marijuana establishment pursuant to the authority granted by Article XVIII, Section 16 of the Colorado Constitution. And for that, I'm going to turn to our city attorney, Aaron Smith. Eric Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor and Council, Ordinance 1181 is before Council on second reading. Ordinance 1181 stops marijuana-related businesses and clubs from establishing in Woodland Park. It does this by imposing a moratorium that remains in place through July 1st, 2013. The purpose of the moratorium is to give the City Council time to determine whether to license or prohibit such businesses and clubs. The moratorium is necessary because of the passage by the Colorado electors in 2012 of Amendment 64, which provides a framework for the retail sales of marijuana and related businesses such as cultivation, testing, and manufacturing, all of which are scheduled to be able to begin after July 1st, 2013. Finally, Ordinance 1181 replaces the emergency ordinance the Council passed last November, which is set to expire later this month. Around, I believe the date would be February 21st. This replacement ordinance 1181 is substantially identical to the emergency ordinance that the Council passed. The one difference being that in paragraph section 3 on page 3 of this replacement ordinance, it defines something called marijuana club and does also bring those marijuana clubs within the coverage of the moratorium. I, along with staff, recommend approval of Ordinance 1181 after a public hearing, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Aaron? Ms. Terry.
Aaron, since the timeline for this ordinance is relatively short, we have the ability to bring the ordinance back and extend it for how long?
Well, state law and federal laws that have looked at the reasonableness of moratoriums have held in certain circumstances that 10-month moratorium was reasonable. So that is one standard that we can look to. I think courts determine these things really on a case-by-case basis, but we do have that 10-month as a standard.
So, council is either going to have to prohibit or decide to license or something.
Correct. Those are the two options. There's actually a third that's authorized or at least given to municipalities in Amendment 64, and that would be to submit the question as a referendum to the voters. But the Amendment 64 specifies that the first time that could happen would be November of 2014. So really, practically, yes, you need to, by July 1st and hopefully sometime much earlier than that, decide whether to license or prohibit. And if you're deciding to license, council would need to instruct staff and legal counsel to develop the regulations that would apply to such licensing.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Aaron, do you know of any other, well, I'm sure a lot of municipalities are looking at this, but have any others developed a licensing regime yet?
I'm not aware of anyone that's finished, completed, and passed an ordinance with a licensing regime yet. There are a number that have gone ahead and prohibited. And right off the top of my head, I'm not sure I can give you a list of those. I know, for example, Greenwood Village has passed its ordinance to prohibit.
Thank you.
Other comments, questions? Yes, Terry?
This is only the city, though. I mean, the county's going to have to make a similar or the same decision that the council's going to have to make.
Teller County, yeah, well, the answer is yes, they would if they have not already.
They have not yet.
And they have not yet.
I think they're running a parallel path to what we're doing.
The other question I had about the definition of a club in these particular zones did the state prescribe a definition of a club? Is it a business or a permit, simply a physical location?
The clubs are really something that the Amendment 64 does not explicitly address. It explicitly addresses retail sales, cultivation, testing, and manufacturing. However, since the passage of Amendment 64, communities, many around the state, have had the experience of persons trying to open up businesses, which either open up clubs, either for the purpose of sort of a co-op to grow marijuana, or as a place where like-minded people can meet and consume or use marijuana.
Thank you. And I think it was a prudent inclusion. Thank you.
Other comments, questions? Hearing none, then I will open the floor for public comment on this. Anyone that wishes to speak on this topic, please come forth at this time. Seeing or hearing none, I'll close the public comment. Any final questions for Aaron from council? Any discussion?
Make a motion to approve ordinance 1181.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, then we will take the vote. Cindy?
Thank you. Schaefer?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Turley?
Yes.
Corvetto?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Harvey?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you, Council.
Thanks, Aaron. Move on to item 10, new business. And Eric, was that?
No.
Oh, okay. Okay. And just want to make sure. This will turn to our Director of Utilities, Kip Wiley, and it's to consider resolution number 750, establishing the single-family residential water tap allotment for 2013. Kip.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council. Resolution 750 establishes the annual single-family residential tap allotment for the year, or SFR tap allotment. This doesn't address fees. This is just the annual allotment of number of taps for the year, and fees will come later for taps. Basically, it breaks down our current water supply and what our water sources produce, break down to what we use per year, and gives us a total tap for the remainder of the year. Remainder of the year is included in the total number available for our water supply. Our water supply, it has the recent tap planning number is 835. The 2013 SFR allotment is established at 90, and in that 90 includes 60 from the water tap planning number, 10 from developer supplied water, and 20 taps from the borrow bank at 90. Recommendation is to approve resolution 750, establishing the SFR allotment water taps at 90 for 2013. Any questions?
Yes, Kip. The number 835, that's the kind of the total taps out there for the future. For that number to be allocated and utilized would require some changes in our utilities. I mean, we're doing long-range planning, but there's some things that would need to happen. In other words, there would be things that would need to happen for us to really reach that number in the future, correct?
Yes. Well, currently that is our all of our water sources combined and what they produce and what we use a year, we can come up with 835 taps. Now, there's certain needs that our water system could use, but that's the amount of water we could supply as of right now.
Okay.
Kip, that's for single-family residences only. Will we consider a separate resolution for a maximum or minimum number of commercial taps or multifamily?
Multifamily, we establish on a case-by-case basis, and there is 79 taps allotted to multifamily. If, for example, we used all 835 single-family taps and there were still 79 multifamily taps, those could simply be transferred back into the single-family residential bank. To kind of go further on the initial question, we still have other water sources to develop, and once those are developed, they will add more taps to the single-family allotment overall bank.
Could you please cover commercial taps, how that works?
We do not we keep track of commercial taps, but there isn't necessarily an allotment for those. Those are considered to be included in normal water usage. The amount of people we have here and the commercial businesses we have here, the people is what drives the water usage, not the businesses.
Okay.
When the plan was established in '97, the key component was residential, not commercial. It was felt that commercial was critical. Let's not necessarily have to go through the same process that we do with that as we do with residential. Residential consumes significantly more water, so we didn't want to have an unnecessary inhibitor for commercial development. So we monitor it, we watch it, but we just don't have the same process.
Unless it were a hotel.
Well, that's still commercial.
Multifamily is different, and that comes separately. You always have a chance to look at the water, but we just don't allocate per year how many taps would be available for commercial projects as we do for single family.
And if I could just elaborate just a little bit. For example, a restaurant, it operates on how many people come there. Those people typically are already here in Woodland Park. I mean, there's obviously people traveling through. But when we take our overall water usage and break it down into total units, that's where you get the usage per capita.
I'll make a comment, and then I have one more question. If we were to have 90 taps sold this year, it would be a great thing. I mean, it really would. That being said, I mean, and I think that's the reason we do a yearly resolution to approve this is, if these are our projections, it's our plan, and plans can change based upon things that happen. And if we were to get into a long-term drought situation, I think we would probably be looking differently at this in the future. Correct?
Correct. Along with the water sources we have, we're allowed to use a certain volume of those sources. But for example, if those weren't producing as much, then obviously our number of taps would go down because we just don't have the water to supply it for them.
Yeah.
Well, and I had that discussion with Kip prior to the council meeting about the report from the previous council meeting about where we were in terms of capacity. And the number that we were briefed at the last council meeting seemed very alarming, 38% of our storage capacity. So my question was, at what point do we begin to make decisions based on that percentage? Is this year more an anomaly, or is this year typical? And Kip assured me that for this year, even though it seems that we're in dire straits at this point in time in history, we may not be at the peak of the season. Therefore, there's no impact on this number. And
we don't know what the snowfall is going to be and the snowpack's going to be. I mean, it could end up being a wet spring, which we would really hope, both for on the Continental Divide, where, you know, the water that comes from out of Twin Lakes and the Homestake, and then locally, you know, getting some good spring runoff that would you know, help with. I don't want to alarm people. You know, the level of the wells we monitor, and that's, I think that's what's important for everyone to know. And you don't know what's going to happen. I mean, it could all at once get wet, and you know, with the Utilities Advisory Committee and working with KIP, you know, we review that every month. And you know, if something all at once has to change, you know, we'd probably be bringing something to council.
Your point's well taken. We're looking out 2 years, and the numbers that Kip shared last meeting, I want him to describe a little bit more about that 38% in just a minute and what that really means, because it's an alarming number, but it needs to be put in the proper context. So we absolutely are watching physical water, augmentation water, snowpack, and then the forecasts for tap allotments for the next couple of years as well. Talk about that 38%, Kip.
Okay. The amount of water we have in storage is referring to just what we use for augmentation water, which is 1/3 of our overall total water used. We have in previous years stored more than what we can just because there's excess space, but the augmentation water, like I said, is just 1/3 of total water usage. It's going down because this is the second dry year in a row, and what we typically do in wet years, we save as much as we can to prepare for these dry years.
So that 38% is of a smaller fraction.
Yes, understand that, but I wanted that point made tonight.
Thank you.
The other part of the question I asked Kip was, at what point do we begin to be concerned? Where are those trigger points? I appreciate that on a monthly basis it's being reviewed, but is there a point in time when we say, this is a deciding point that we need to consider possibly reducing the number of taps that we're making available for residential taps?
There, with our what drives our taps is available water, and those sources are analyzed every year. Now, for example, our augmentation water is what makes us be able to use our local water. However, we have historical yields for how much is produced per share of our augmentation water, and if those historical yields keep showing a decrease in how much they actually produce per share, obviously our water supply would be smaller and smaller. It would go down, and we'd have to evaluate how much those are really producing on an annual basis.
And you're saying that evaluation then should occur on an annual basis?
Yes.
But we're monitoring that every month. I mean, KIP provides the Utilities Advisory Committee with, you know, what's going on with the wells, what's going on with snowpack. Eric's on it too, so Eric can help me. I'm on the committee. But I mean, we monitor that every month and get an update and just have those discussions. Just so you know, it's looked at every month. I mean, they're looking at it all the time, but we get a report in the Utilities Advisory Committee every month. And it's hard to draw a line that says this is where it's at, because it's how you balance, because it's multiple sources. Water comes from, it's good that it's different kinds of water and comes from different places, because, you know, you might be dry here and wet over on the Continental Divide. It's when it's all dry for a number of years that it gets really a concern.
I understand the concept of the trigger points, and I can tell you that those don't exist. It's a combination of many things. But as we move into this next year, if we don't see some significant improvement, it is something that we need to come up with.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, Terry.
So, Kip, I mean, you're asking us to allocate you 90 water taps. If by chance, and I hope you do, sell every one of them, we've still got plenty enough water to handle those 90 water taps if we were to sell them.
Yes.
And so far to date, we haven't sold very many.
In 2012, we sold 5, and in 2011, we sold 7.
That's pretty darn good. if you put it in a ratio. So, but you know, and I got to tell you, Woodland Park has been praised at several HBA conferences I've gone to because we do have a water tap management plan, and it does a couple of things very, very well. First of all, it watches out for that resource that's so dear to us, and also it helps us control our own growth and be able to not make bad decisions because we've got time to make good decisions. So when the mayor's ready, I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 750.
I believe John had a question or comment first.
Yes, I do. And I wasn't here last week, but Kip was good enough to spend some time with me and go over the charts because I was interested in how that got handled. We sold 5 last year. We forecast, if I remember correctly, 7 for this year. I'm having trouble figuring out what the relevance of the number 90 is. And it would seem to be something of an academic exercise to me, and I don't quite understand the value in it even.
It's a requirement by ordinance.
Right.
That we bring.
That's one reason.
Well, sometimes that's the only reason we have. Because you're right. I mean, pragmatically, we're not going to sell 90 taps. So that part of the argument is academic. But we have this process that the water tap management plan allows us to project into the future, and this is just that step for this year. Those that aren't sold go to the end of the line, and it prolongs our availability of water. So to a degree, it is an academic exercise.
So where do the 400 high-priority housing taps fall in all of this?
They don't exist yet. I mean, that's something that's discussed, but hasn't been approved by anybody, and it's just a discussion item as of now, correct?
That's correct.
All right. We'll hear more about that, I hope, soon.
I don't know. I will say, relative to going through this process, I'm really glad we do it. I think it's a good education process for council to have the discussion as to what's going on with TAPS, and you know, that rather than it just occurring and we don't know, I think we have that responsibility to the community to review that and have the discussion. There was a time not that many years ago that maximum tap number was being reached, correct? Or close to it?
Close.
Yeah, close to it.
We did reach it once.
Yeah. So, you know, I think it's a good discussion and a good education item, and then when you get into certain situations can actually be beneficial.
I'm not trying to avoid the 400 tap issue. Right now, it's not having an effect on your decision-making process. Yeah. It's something that we still need to do a lot of work on.
Yeah. And you bring that up, and since it was brought to council once, and we didn't before you were on council.
Before my time. Yeah.
My approach as a member of the council is, if somebody wants to do something, you want to build something, you want to come, you need water taps, come and talk to us, and we address them. Rather than saying we're definitely going to do this and definitely going to do that, let's see what people want to bring to the community.
Yeah, I just raised the question, and I noticed that David did refer to it as an issue.
Well, it was brought to us as what was it brought to us as on council?
Yeah, I don't remember.
It was brought as something and got tabled.
Yes.
Tabled for the new city council.
Correct.
Yep.
Or I don't know if specifically for the new city council, but it was tabled. It was a very complex, rolled in to a very complex issue that we hadn't had work sessions on. We're digressing a bit, but we hadn't had work sessions on and really hashed it out as a council. And my personal opinion was it was premature as a member of council for us to be voting on it when you don't have enough knowledge about it.
Yeah, and I'm not arguing about that.
No, I'm just explaining. No argument at all. It's just what happened. It's the way it was. So, any other discussions on Resolution Secretary's motion. Well, let's hear that. we haven't actually had, Terry, if you going to make the motion?
Yeah, and to reiterate what has been discussed, it is a fabulous regulatory process. And if I'm correct, if I'm not, Cindy will probably throw something at me. I guess Jim, who Chip replaced, is actually who invented it. Or,
The water tap management plan?
yes, yes, which is awesome. So with that, I'll move to approve Resolution 750 to allocate 90 water taps. Please sell them.
Okay, and we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Then we'll take a vote.
Thank you. Smith?
Yes.
Turley?
Yes.
Brovetto?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Harvey?
Yes.
Schaefer?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously.
Mr. Mayor, I'm going to step out for the next item as well.
Okay, thanks, Eric. Item 10B is to consider Resolution 751, authorizing the mayor and the city clerk of the City of Woodland Park to execute and attest thereto the contract by and between the City of Woodland Park and the State of Colorado Department of Transportation for a project, and I'll let Bill give us more specifics.
Just wanted to leave you hanging there, Mr. Mayor, so you'll listen to what I've got to say here.
Oh,
Well, good
yes,
evening,
sir.
Mr. Mayor, members of council. This is for the East Fork of the Fountain Creek project. If you'll recall to the meeting we had last time, you approved a similar resolution for the mayor and the city to enter into an agreement with the Colorado Department of Transportation for the construction of the Lake Avenue Sidewalk project. Well, this is a very similar type agreement where the city will enter into a contract with CDOT for the construction of improvements to the East Fork of Fountain Creek. That portion of Fountain Creek begins near the back of Eagle Fire Lodge and runs south to near Safeway or the AutoZone store. Design is complete. We're working with CDOT to get this agreement in place, and then we'll be advertising for contractors to begin construction and get that built this summer. So we'd recommend that you approve Resolution 751, and then we'll get the contract signed this evening and mail them off to CDOT in the morning.
Questions? Yes, Terry.
Bill, even though we don't have a picture of the design or stuff, could you kind of explain what it's going to be like back there once it's complete?
Oh, you betcha, absolutely. Currently, the East Fork of Fountain Creek, it begins up by the high school, even beyond the high school, but at about McDonald's it runs into a pipe, goes under Highway 24 and daylights near Eagle Fire Lodge. The water currently runs in an open channel configuration down to where it has a confluence with the main stem by AutoZone. In recent time, that creek, reach of the creek, has really begun to erode and degrade and is no longer stable. So we recognize this and brought our design team in to look at a way to convey that water in a stable fashion, get it to the main stem, and reduce the maintenance requirements of that channel. That design's done. It'll be put into a 72-inch, that's a 6-foot diameter concrete pipe, and covered, and then daylight down there by the AutoZone store. That will preclude the erosion that's going on, stabilize that reach of creek, and then allow some development of properties adjacent to that city property where the creek or where the pipe will be.
So because we're not going to lose as much water, it's not going to erode or get into the ground or anything. We're just literally going to pipe it on into Fountain Creek, and the rest of Fountain Creek from that point on has the ability to handle any additional water that we're going to gain and put in there.
Yeah, we're really not gaining any water, or subtracting any water. I mean, yes, you're correct with the open channel configuration. You can get some infiltration, but it's pretty minimal to what for that reach, for the short length that reach really is. The reach downstream from the confluence, which runs basically behind Safeway and Aspen Garden Way, and we won't be adding any volume or quantity of water. We're just conveying what's already flowing there from one conveyance system, an open channel that's eroding and unstable, to one that's a pipe. Did that help you out?
Yes, Carol.
How
how does the reimbursement work from the Department of Transportation to the city?
Well, this project is a little bit unique in that CDOT is putting up a lump sum amount of money for this project, and then the city is paying the difference. Typically, when we have reimbursements, we pay the bills. We give CDOT a copy of our invoice. It's much like when you go on a travel and have your travel voucher and claims. You show them what you paid, you submit that, then they pay you. And typically there's a cost share for like the Lake Avenue project. It's an 80-20. So if I submit a bill for $100, CDOT sends us a check for 80. This project, different. There's a lump sum cash contribution from CDOT, and the city will pay the rest. Other questions?
And what is the anticipated cost for the city on this one?
Well, that was in the budget, total cost of the project, and because it's getting ready to go to bid, I'll just kind of generalize, but it's between $600,000 and $700,000. And CDOT's lump sum contribution is $250,000. The money was budgeted in this year's budget and is there.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Hearing none, then we will take a vote. Cindy.
Need a motion.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I make a motion to consider.
Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to consider resolution.
Thanks, Gary. And do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Hey, the mayor's here sometimes. Any further discussion? Then we'll take the vote. Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you. Turley?
Yes.
Brevetto?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Harvey?
Yes.
Schaefer?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously.
Thanks, Council.
Thank you.
I have no one signed up for any public comment tonight. We have anyone here who would like to speak? Hearing none, then we'll move on. Mayor's report. We do have an event coming up on Saturday. We still have the Winter Farmers Market going on at the UPass Cultural Center, and that's from, yes, welcome back, from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m.
I almost didn't come back.
I think most of you know I am the council's rep to the Pikes Peak Area Council of Governments. You know, there's lots of different types of issues and projects that the Pikes Peak region and the Council of Governments takes on. Something that you'll be starting to see if you make any trips up I-25 over the next few months. They're actually going to start doing some soil testing and things, but they will be working starting this year on the project of expanding I-25 from Woodman up to County Line Road past Monument, and so you'll start seeing some things going on there. And just as a reminder, it's about a $165 million project to expand that to 3 lanes in each direction.
No.
What?
You're a little off on your numbers. I-25?
I-25.
Yeah, $65 million.
Is it?
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
Sorry.
Okay.
We were shortlisted on the project, so. I know.
Okay. 65 million.
Right.
And then the other big project that they're in a design phase right now and kind of a feasibility study, and people that go down the pass is I-25 and Cimarron, US 24. And so that's one of the highest transportation projects that's coming up. So just thought I'd make mention of that. Also this week on Wednesday, Mayor Bach of Colorado Springs was up in the area. He visited out at Sturman Industries for a while, and then had lunch with myself and Norm Steen, one of our new county commissioners, for a couple hours. Actually, we're just having kind of mayor discussions, challenges, and the way city governments work, and strategizing for our mayor's caucus, and how we might continue that. And one of the things that I think we're going to have a next meeting, and again, this group is the senior elected officials. What we try to do is not get in the way of the committees or organizations like PPACG that are already doing things, but to see where we can weigh in and help in what they're trying to do. And one of the things that's, obviously a concern of folks downstream, but I think very important to us too, is the potential for flooding, this summer if you get thunderstorms in the Waldo Canyon burn area. And even though the flooding part may be below us, if you were to get serious flooding and 24 being blocked, any kind of impact to 24 being taken out from flooding is a major impact to us. So I want to make sure that, that we're staying on top of all that and what's going on, because we're not downstream, but it impacts us in Teller County greatly.
To that end, I've asked Brian Fleer and Bill to work on a letter to the Forest Service encouraging them to get Rampart Range Road opened from Woodlands Park all the way to Garden of the Gods for recreation purposes, but also as a secondary ingress and egress route should Highway 24 be closed for that.
Well, to emphasize that, David, on my way home from work today, I was held up for 20 minutes in the past because of a rock slide at the Waldo Canyon trailhead.
We're going to be working on getting that letter together within the next couple of weeks, and it'll be above the mayor's signature to them.
And just to add to that, I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of work with the federal government, and that is all happening. But what we want to do is, as mayors, and I think Mayor Bach will be coming out with some info on that. That's kind of what we decided that we thought should happen, and that we would get some updates on that and just kind of understand as mayors where all that is at kind of a high level. So just wanted everybody to know that we're thinking about those kind of things. And my other comment does relate to the McDonald family and the memorial service today. I'd like to compliment, I think, the whole city of Woodland Park, but particularly the police department. Public Works was out there helping, and I don't know who else, but there was a lot of folks out there from the city helping with traffic control, a lot of vehicles. Again, it's things that people can take for granted, and it just happens when you have people that are making it happen. And so I know when I go there and see that, and see the officers, saw our city manager out there in his vest, and folks from Public Works, at least recognize those folks, the community greatly appreciates it, and I know I do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Eric. Gary?
Well, in line with my fiduciary responsibility, reporting to you about DDA developments and Historical Preservation Committee, I think I'll say a few things about it.
Okay.
We just had a retreat with the DDA, Downtown Development Authority, where we established goals for the year, certainly, and then outlying areas, and we had a professional facilitator help us with that, headed at Sturman Industries, and we did come up with goals. We haven't formally put it down on paper yet. That's our next meeting. We'll do that, but it's all organized. And once we get that fully down on paper, I hope to present that to you guys in a future council meeting, so you know that we're not just sitting on our ears and not doing anything. Is that the Downtown Development Authority has really taken a really progressive approach to vitalizing the downtown area. In line with that, and in conjunction with the Historical Preservation Committee that I'm the council liaison to, we had a presentation. Oh, by the way, one of the goals that we did establish with DDA is to support the Main Street program. That's my transition now to Historical Preservation Committee, because we had a presentation by the Department of Local Affairs responsible for the Main Street program, and they gave us a presentation what the Main Street program is and what it does. And I got the impression from the people who presented this thing, they're very anxious to get us on board and help us become a Main Street candidate, if you will. And it's not only a statewide program, but it's a national program as well. So if we get this designation, we would be put on the map, both in the state and on the national level, which gives us really a lot of clout, if you will, to be able to tap in such resources as the foundations and other resources which we can get funds from to accomplish what the Main Street program is trying to do, is to vitalize Woodland Park with a historical preservation perspective. And what it really does, it allows us to provide a structure to organize all of the fine agencies and organizations we have here in Woodland Park that are already doing yeoman work in various areas such as beautification, historical preservation, Downtown Development Authority, as well as the Chamber of Commerce. You can mention lots of other organizations, but it provides a structure of bringing all these organizations together under a real umbrella and actually organizing them in a way to provide a synergistic effect with all those organizations to make their work fit a unified goal, if you will, in vitalizing the Woodland Park area here. And it's organized, and to meet the criteria, there's about 10 criteria. I'm not going to go into the criteria, but I think we can do it. I think normally for a town to be designated as a candidate and then a full member of that program, you have to meet those 10 criteria. But we can do it because I think we got the structure. We got the people already doing this stuff. We just need to organize it in a way that we can get everybody on one page and have a main organization, maybe a 501c we were talking about with Brian, and form a central organization where all of these elements, we already have a comprehensive plan. This goes beyond the comprehensive plan. This actually identifies what Woodland Park wants to be. And combining all these organizations, the way this organization would be formed is that we'd have, it's part of the Main Street 4-point approach, and this is how the organization's kind of formed. They have an organization element of it. That's the people who get together and get all the volunteers and all these agencies together into one group and organize them in a way so they can create a synergistic effect. We have a promotion point. The promotion can be, for instance, marketing Woodland Park. That's part of their element. So, for instance, Chamber of Commerce would be an excellent one group that'd be part of that committee to provide promotion. The other one is design. This is where things like the Beautification Committee, Historical Preservation Committee, Home Builders Association, and a bunch of other people, DDA, can be part of that design committee to actually put in effect a design that we come up with on what we want Woodland Park to look like. And the last one is the Economic Restructure Committee, and that's where we actually get identify the economic assets we need to make this all happen. So it formalizes an organization that really allows us to really, create a synergy among all the work that we're doing already. And normally to be designated that program, it takes anywhere from 3 to 5 years. I think we have everything in play now. I just told Brian the other day, there's no reason why we can't be fully designated as a Main Street program within 1 or 2 years, because I think we have all the elements. We just need to get them together. So I wanted to present that to you because city would have to buy into that, obviously. It would require us having a part-time maybe person to manage that 501c. I'm not suggesting the city pays the whole total because we have other partners in this thing that can make that happen. But that's one of the requirements. You have to have at least a part-time person. It's one of the criteria, if you will. But it really tells the world that we're organized, and we got a structure, and we got a vision, and that's important for other organizations like foundations, like Elpamar and stuff, to know. Knowing that we got our act together, and I think it's very important, and hopefully we'll forge ahead and move on. So the first step was we're being introduced to it by DOLA. Now what we want to try to do is get all those organizations that have vested interest in this to another meeting, and DOLA has agreed to come back and make that presentation to them as well and get that going. Once we get that going, then maybe we can form maybe a 501c or something like that, start it and get everybody on the same page and make this happen.
Very good.
That's it.
Thanks, Gary. Terry?
No, I'd like to thank David for saying the things about Cal. Those of you that never got a chance to meet him, I hate to say this, but it was your loss. He was just an incredible person. He did become a citizen of Woodland Park in 1941, and he remained a citizen even after he moved out of here. He came up here as often as he could, and he was just an incredible guy. And then the other thing is, I would like to ask Bill, because I know he's works with them all the time, is if we may get some idea or a report on how the stabilization project is going up there, and the chances of us losing 24 in case of a thunderstorm.
Well, CDOT and I mean, we coordinate and talk all the time, and if I can just kind of relate back to last summer, right after the fire, when I was working with Gary Heller to harvest and benefit from a bunch of the washout rock that was coming down on the highway, and we were able to take and receive for one of these Fountain Creek projects. They monitor that situation on 24 daily, hourly. I mean, they have some contract weather service to watch those storms. And last summer, when one of those storms was coming in, I was with Gary when the storm was coming in, and he knew it was coming in, and he knew what time he needed to be where to make observations on the highway. For those of you who don't know Gary Heller, he's the local maintenance supervisor for CDOT. So it was very encouraging to know that they're proactively and aggressively monitoring the highway and working with the Forest Service to try to mitigate some of that runoff and debris flow. But that's a very big problem, big project, as the mayor alluded to. There's a lot of federal agencies working on it. There's not a lot of resources to address it. But I can tell you that after sitting in meetings, there's a lot of discussion about it. There's a mutual concern about it. What can be done is being done. We keep in contact with CDOT, as I know the police department does, with State Patrol. So if there is a hazard, folks know as quickly as possible. But if we see trends, I mean, we know that about 1/4 of an inch an hour in rain is a trigger point. And so if we see forecasts or radar that indicates that, I mean, that gives us some indication that, hey, we need to be on the lookout. But we'll continue to work closely with CDOT through the summer. That's why I'm pushing to get Rampart Range Road back open as an alternative ingress and egress route for us, and also watch for fire on the other end of town this summer. So, does that help you?
John?
The Community Investment Fund Committee held its annual meeting this past Monday evening. The city has given us $34,000, the same amount we got last year, to parse out to local nonprofits. We had 27 applications. We have made decisions with respect to certain organizations and what they're going to get. There are other organizations that need to answer some questions from us. And we expect to hold back some funds as we did last year. If you'll recall, we had $2,500 that wasn't doled out as a result of the first meeting, and El Pomar came in with another $2,500 to match that, and we were able to give $1,000 each to 5 nonprofits. So we ought to be in a position, Cindy, to bring that report to the board March 7th, or
actually we're going to try to do it at the next meeting. February 21st.
Good. All right.
As soon as we hear back from some of the organizations, we'll roll that all together.
Good job.
All right. Thank you.
Good on all these committees. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, you just kind of listen to the work that's going on outside of council meetings. Council meetings is where we all come together, but a lot of things going on. Thank you, council. And now I'll turn to Aaron. You have a report for us?
I have nothing, Your Honor.
Okay. And David?
3 this evening, Mayor. The first from Bill Alsbach, and then Bob's going to talk to us a little bit about fire bans, and then, speaking of fire, I'm going to hand out the Waldo Canyon after-action report. So, Bill.
Yay. Carroll's happy.
Well, good evening once again. I'm going to change things up just a little bit. I'm going to have your Public Works Assistant, Suzanne Brown, help me out. She's going to stand here at the podium, and I'm going to come over here by Mr. Schaefer so that we can all look at that screen together, since you're all focusing on that screen. I'm here this evening to talk with you about the Shady Lane Storm Sewer Project, which was a project done to support the DDA project at Tamarack Center, where the new O'Reilly's is going in, and Family Dollar. The title of this presentation is Fixing the Hole. For those of you who have been in the community for a while, familiar with development, you realize that site has a large depression. It catches water and has literally been a hole without an outlet, and needed some solution. Mr. Mayor, Mr. Brevetto, I know you are sitting through this presentation for a second time. So I've made some changes to keep your attention and make sure you're not too bored. So first slide, let's talk a little bit about the problem and define. This is an aerial photograph of the area. This is Highway 24 westbound. This is Gold Hill here. This is a Country Lodge right here. The new Family Dollar store is being constructed right here. O'Reilly's is right here, getting ready to open. For this site to be developable, there needed to be a way for the stormwater flows to, the rainwater, the snow melt that flows on that site to flow into the ground or over the ground and get out of the site. The way it was prior to this was these are two depressions here, and the water would literally kind of flow into these directions and collect into these holes, and there was literally no way for that water to get out. And to make that property developable, there needed to be a way for the water to leave the site and eventually get to Fountain Creek. So a little bit of history lesson here. We've got the Colorado Midland Railroad here, steaming westbound, leaving Woodland Park, and it came along this railroad embankment, and that railroad embankment for the Colorado Midland is what impounds the water in this site. And there was another siding here that actually connected to a branch line that went up Highway 67, and it also impounded a little bit of water here, and that was the hole right there. And you notice the question mark here is like, well, the railroads typically didn't build embankments like that without some way for the water to get out, because it puts their embankments at risk. So we did some historical research. David has some old aerial photographs. Some go back to the 1930s. So we looked at those. I sat down with Mr. Page, who's been in the area for a long time, developed these properties, helped develop some portions of this. He throws nothing away, and it was a great resource to have Bill to sit down with and look at some of the historical topo and get an idea of the way things used to work. And we came to the conclusion that, hit the button, Suzanne, that too much. There you go. That the water here, there was probably a culvert through that embankment at one time, and that culvert is just not there anymore. It's caved in or something. But there was a culvert there at one time, and the historical flows definitely went this way through the neighborhood. This is Timber Lane here. This is Shady Lane here. That is the historical drainage pattern. So with that historical research, we developed a solution. And now the next slide, please. And hit it one more time. We came up with an alignment that, since we couldn't go the old way, because that's private property, there's homes in there, that we couldn't follow that historical drainage path exactly. But we could get to the city right-of-way very quickly by coming this way, getting into Shady Lane, which is public right-of-way, and putting a storm sewer connector that would connect the site for Family Dollar, for O'Reilly's, as an opportunity. They still have to detain. They have to meet our detention requirements were established back in 1994, but after they detain it and release it, they could release it to this system, get it into the Fountain Creek system and downstream. And hit the button one more time, Suzanne. And we also provided this connection for future development in this site, should this site get filled up, get developed, or whatever. So there is a connection there. But before we could come up with a solution, we needed to make sure that we didn't adversely impact the neighbors and all the folks that live downstream here. So part of our analysis included looking at that downstream system from the outlet at Shady Lane all the way to Fountain Creek. And that drainage system is a system of roadside ditches and some culverts, driveway culverts and things. And we looked at and analyzed all of those to determine that the amount of water we release here into this system does not overtax that system and still meets our design criteria. So we did a lot of analysis to make sure that what we were doing here didn't adversely impact folks downstream. So that was our solution. Next slide, please. We had some challenges. We needed to kind of maintain those historic drainage patterns. We couldn't be putting things across different basins and making situations worse in other areas. So we wanted to follow those historic drainage patterns generally, usually. Don't overload those downstream systems that we're discharging into. It's got to be constructible. And anyone that's familiar with construction sees that that is the actual construction of this drain. And that was tough to make that constructible. Hit the button one more time, Suzanne, because we had a lot of utilities in there to make this a challenge for our contractor. But we were able to pull it off. You see here, this is our new storm sewer line. This is a manhole that connects to an existing culvert that comes down West Street. The storm sewer line headed west, but we had gas lines, sewer lines, water lines, phone lines, fiber optic cables, about 13 utility crossings in this area. So that just kept it interesting. Next slide, please. This is a picture of the project done, taken from the exact same spot. There's the manhole. It's repaired. But to pull this off, we had a team of the City of Woodland Park, our engineering consultant, URS, and Lamb Plumbing and Excavating was the successful bidder and the one who got the boots on the ground challenge to get it done and build it, and to lift all those fiber optic lines and thread the pipe through there. And I think Travis Lamb was fit to be tied a few days, but he pulled it off and did a marvelous job. So it was a wonderful team coming together. With that all said, next slide, please. We submitted the project to the American Public Works Association, to the Colorado chapter, which does an annual set of awards. And Woodland Park was recognized as Project of the Year for Engineering and Construction Management for the Small Community designation for this project. And Cindy has handed out a little article. David's the proud owner of the plaque there that we received. And so it's nice to solve a problem that's been a long-standing problem, to bring together a team of capable professionals and pull it off and get recognized for it.
And I would say, I guess, and really done at a, in working with the DDA and everything, at a pretty reasonable cost from where projections had been as for possible solutions and things.
Well, when we went into it, David and I had a discussion, and we literally came up with a budget on an envelope to get the ball rolling. Once we thought we had a technical solution that was viable, that allowed us to kind of set an azimuth for our course and pursued that to see if it was technically feasible. So, and then we were able to bring it in under less cost.
And I'd say something about, because it went through the street, impact on the neighborhoods and where that's kind of out now and how all that went.
Well, certainly the residents of Shady Lane put up with a lot of disruption throughout last summer, and I'd like to say that they were all very congenial and polite and patient, and we sincerely appreciated that. They had that equipment in their front yard, literally in their front yard, for weeks. Some of them couldn't get into their driveway for several days at a time because we had the street tied up. We had some challenges to come up along the way, but the neighborhood was a great partner in the process, and we appreciate their patience.
Absolutely.
Any other questions?
Bill, the actual holes that are back there, now that property will be developable now, correct?
That's the key term. It's developable. So we do have, and I say that from a stormwater aspect. There's a way now so that it's not landlocked, and that was a significant cost and significant hurdle to making that property developable in the past, because where do we take the stormwater? And a private developer, they would have had to take that stormwater across Mr. Page's property, or the way we went, or out to CDOT, or even to the south. All of those were complicated, expensive, and we were able to, I think, be very efficient and minimize the cost to everyone by getting into the city public right-of-way with this pipeline quickly and efficiently, and that way we didn't have to buy easements or disrupt anybody's other's property other than city property. So,
what was the diameter of the main line?
It was a 24-inch reinforced concrete pipe. That is the main trunk line. So, any other questions?
Very good. Thanks, Bill.
You're welcome. Great job, Bill.
Thank you, Suzanne.
And congratulations on the award for it, too. I mean, that just shows, living here, we're impressed with what you've done, but the engineering aspects of it shows that a lot of other folks recognized what was accomplished also,
Well, that's because we had a great team and a competent bunch of consultants to help us.
and a good public works director. David?
About a week and a half ago, there was a fire in the Teller County, Douglas County line up Highway 67. And in that time frame, Teller County declared a fire ban, and they've since lifted that. But there's a little bit of concern with as dry as it has been that we could have a significant fire even in the wintertime. I want Bob to review very quickly the different stages of fire bans and some of that process that we go through to keep an eye on those things.
Our ordinance 9.90 outdoor fire uses and emergency fire safety regulations is the mechanism by which we regulate outdoor fires. State law provides that county commissioners regulate outdoor fire uses in the unincorporated areas of the county, and that cities and municipalities that are home rule regulate them within their areas. After the Hayman fire, the council decided that we should create an ordinance that consolidates this all into one simple place, because although it was in the fire code's about this thick, and if you want to read the whole thing, you can find all of this, or you can look at the 2.5 pages we have here. During active fires, jurisdictions work together. Our outdoor fire ordinance is similar to a stage 1 fire restriction or fire ban, but the difference is that it's always in effect. We ban the burning of trash, leaves, junk, and toxic materials all the time, period. We have ways to regulate and permit recreational fires in permanent fireplaces, permanent fire pits. We also have ways to regulate and permit pottery, chimenea, and movable metal things and so forth. They're treated much like grills. Grills and stoves are permitted. There's safety regulations and so forth. Outdoor fires can be regulated additionally by the city manager. The city manager gets input from the fire district, from the county, from surrounding federal and state forests and other places. The other things we might be regulating, for instance, could be whether or not you can use any grills at all. We might ban those. Whether or not you can smoke, use of small engines, chainsaws, things like this that might cause fires. There's also a provision for firefighters or police to deal with imminent dangers that might be permitted. For instance, we might be in a position where you can have an outdoor fire in a fire pit, but the weather changes, and now we have a 50-mile-an-hour wind, and the cops in the fire department decide the fire needs to go out. So that's the basic thing that we're in all the time. The city manager now, when changes are necessary, can go to a stage 2 fire ban, and that's basically a statewide standard. This is the city standard that regulates additional things, and we can tailor that to the things that are specific to our city. For instance, in a county you might ban all outdoor smoking. In a city you might permit it in places like asphalt parking lots and things like this, or around buildings, or in certain other places. If the council disagrees with what the city manager does, the council has the right to review it. But we wanted to do it with the city manager so that we could do it quickly, because our experience in previous fires was we didn't always have a quorum, and we had to pass an emergency ordinance every time we wanted to raise or lower the fire protection level. Can I
Very good.
answer any questions?
Any questions for Chief? It's David and I were working on, primarily the staff did the Auto Canyon after action report, and we were having a work session on it, and I just asked, it'd be good to get a reminder of kind of how this process works on fire restrictions and where we're at, so I appreciate that, Chief.
So I did mention that we did complete the Waldo Canyon after action report, and I'll hand it out to the council and to the media after the mayor adjourns the meeting. I have it here for you. The staff put in a lot of hours putting this together, and as the mayor mentioned, he and I visited, he reviewed the draft, and then he and I sat down and spent an hour or so together, and I've included those addendums from his notes. It is a
City of Woodland Park focused after-action review. It was based on what is typically done at federal agency levels for the format. It's the same format as the City of Colorado Springs report as well, and so you'll see similarities in the product. It does review hour by hour, day by day events. It talks about successes. It talks about challenges. It talks about things that we can do better. It was requested that we then hold a council meeting, perhaps a public meeting. We'll schedule that for next council meeting at 6 o'clock in these chambers, and we'll advertise that to have a public meeting on the after-action review. We'll get it on the website. We'll get it out through different sources so that we can meet as a council to hear input from the community. If there are things that we want to add to this, we'll do an addendum. That's all we'll do. This isn't a draft. It's the final, but we can include addendums to that based on your input and then the input from the community. Do you have any questions at this point?
David, thank you for doing that, but my question for the public presentation, will you include members of the fire district or any other federal employees that were involved with the fire?
Yeah, I had not thought about federal. We would certainly invite the sheriff's office and the fire district. And again, this isn't an after-action review on their actions. They're incorporated to a degree, but I would be happy at council's direction to invite the sheriff and the fire district chief. I'm just not sure who else would add value to the discussion.
Without having seen the report, I didn't know if there was something that you wanted to really make a point of, and if their presence would help to make that point, or if there would be a discussion of mitigation practices that any of those particular agencies could provide.
Allow me to think about that, and if after you read this you have some input, let me know. My initial reaction would be no, keep it to the sheriff's office and the fire district.
Okay, thanks.
But I'll be happy to listen to it.
No, I look forward to reading it.
Because what we're really doing is evaluating our performance, and of course, would include our interactions with them, but it's not evaluating their performance.
No, and I did not intend that.
Okay. I'll hand these out after the mayor adjourns the meeting. And that's all we have this evening, sir.
Okay, thank you. No comments on written correspondence? Meeting adjourned.